Hey, crypto media friends, welcome to an Overtime Show here in Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. Reporting that artist XCopy and PFP MoonBirds have gone the way of CC0, which is, you kind of just give all the rights and have at, all your PFPs, to which billionaire CEO Elon Musk has decided to incorporate CC0 into every female Tesla employee contract. I'm just kidding. It's in the male ones as well. CC0 or CC0 being completely irrevocable, by placing things in the public domain, it really places PFP holders in a very awkward position. I'm hearing they didn't really get this approved in any sort of DAO manner. It was just a choice that they made, and we'll walk through Kevin Rose's thought process. I was just kind of coming off the AMA with him. A lot of really interesting perspectives on it and why they did it. Also, 10K TF. Wow, really doing amazing things. We followed this project close on the channel, and they announced a massive announcement that they're going to be utilizing ApeCoin in their ecosystem, and so no financial advice ever here on the channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. But we're talking about utility. The utility of ApeCoin has gone up tremendously, and so we got a bit of a hint of that with the Gucci announcement. Gucci had made an announcement earlier in the week that they were accepting ApeCoin, and Gucci being very closely aligned with 10K TF. It was kind of like it made sense. Like, oh, okay, yeah. So a lot of speculation grew from that, and so now you're gonna be able to use ApeCoin to try and mint crates of weapons to fight this kaiju that has apparently attacked New Tokyo. Our correspondent Minty Fresh in the metaverse is on the scene now, so we'll see if we can try and get a signal into there. Minty Fresh, can you hear us? I know you're in a pretty bad area for reception. Hi, yes, I can hear you. I'm here in New Tokyo. It's a lot of ruins of New Tokyo, really. There's just a giant excrement everywhere from this very large kaiju that is destroying the city, but we're doing the best we can here under the freeway. We're in this freeway overpass, and they're handing out they're selling us weapons we can get to fight this kaiju. It was a bit of a surprise that we're going to have to use ApeCoin instead of New Tokyo dollars. So everybody's been the lines for ATMs have been crazy to try and get some ApeCoin so that we can buy weapons to fight this giant kaiju that is just leaving excrement everywhere. I don't know if the destruction is worse or just the excrement, but it's a sad state of affairs here. But I will say there was a lot of pressure, being that each crate of weapons cost 130 ApeCoin, which is roughly about $7.5 USD currently, about 1,000 USD, for crates of weapons. And so those that have stuck through this whole kaiju scenario thing and have been with Wagmi-san for all 8 missions have been granted one free crate of weapons, which is really astonishing. Wow, that sounds very, magnanimous, and it is, and I think that it's a $5 million decision. Like, if you do the math, about 5,000 of us are qualified for this, and so that was a $5 million decision that came down a couple hours after the initial announcement. But I think it just really gives holders such free money let's be honest, a lot of us are not going to sell because we're here in the middle of this misfortune and in this attack, and so we're going to utilize it to get weapons to defend ourselves. And so to be able to have some of us get those weapons for free just kind of made sense here in New Tokyo. And so yeah, this is the state of affairs here in New Tokyo, and we hope they improve. In the coming days, maybe we'll report further on what's going on. Well, we really look forward to more of that, and want to thank you for your contribution. I know it's a really tough area out there right now. Thank you. Wow, riveting stuff. Being in the heart of that and getting signal through there in the metaverse was very challenging. Like that Star Wars movie, several perished for that transmission to go through. Let's check in with the announcements of the 10K TF announcements that came down today. A big shock for a lot of people who were waiting on New Tokyo dollars. To some degree, I think we were looking for some sort of drop. And this is the thing: is 10K TF is such it's a giving ecosystem. They don't hold out much. I think as long as you're participating in the story, it's incredible how much wealth has been generated for people in this project. Just by staking, tools, and then getting opportunities, to mint, and it's just been a very exciting ride for a lot of people. And this is just the next act, if you will. Let me see if I can get this to play. Sometimes it doesn't like to play when I'm trying to live stream. So that's a big announcement there. No longer powered by New Tokyo dollars. It's going to be powered by ApeCoin. And so in that ecosystem, it's just the tie between that and as we reported, the other side, it's even stronger. And it seems like there's a real partnership here. And moving forward, that's very exciting, because if we're all on that team together, that's going to make that ecosystem really something special. So yeah, let's check in on the CC0 issue with MoonBirds was announced today. It's something that XCopy did, I believe it was yesterday, and there's just been a trend and a call for it. I don't know if a lot of people understand what CC0 is, and I think a lot of people confuse it with CC0 being, oh, I have my rights. CC0 is zero rights. It's just like everybody has the rights to utilize the PFP, and so Nouns, famously did it, and I think that there, is sometimes a call for like, oh gosh, we want that too. That's a great project. We want that too, and when you think of certain projects like Robotos or things that you can look at and understand that, oh, there's the movie, there's the Netflix show, there's certain aspects to Nuclear Nerds that we covered. You're like, that's a movie. Yeah, I'm gonna go see that movie when that comes out. It's you can see these things with things like Nouns. They're very specific art. Beyond 8-bit. They're just very specific to, I think, an artistic interpretation, and not necessarily broadly seen as the next Star Wars, if you will. And so I think that MoonBirds falls into that. So the move to do this, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I thought it was cool. I just think they're going to have to fight through a lot of FUD about it, because it is such a bold move, taking an entire in the middle of a project. I think is because you mint and you buy in, and some people bought in quite high, and it's still quite high. Come on, let's look at. We're still at an 18 ETH floor, so we're doing okay in MoonBirds land. But the FUD is always going to be there, especially the consternation of, the people who bought in. I think it could be a really powerful move, especially when it comes to propagation of likeness of the brand. Imagine it, sort of being available for anybody to graffiti anywhere in a sense. And so this gives a lot of recognition to the brand at large and grows it in a scale that is impossible to do while centralized. And that's the power of Web3. By doing a CC0, you let everybody do it. And so I'm sorry for that Elon Musk joke earlier. But, we believe this move honors and respects the values of the internet Web3 and starts a new and important phase of the project. He's been building consumer products since 2004. And going back to that, I did Dig. You've heard of Dig, and I did that. That was a long time ago, 2004. The first social, that was nearly 20 years ago. Shortly after launch, we saw many projects that iterated on the idea, taking what we invented and pushing things in a new direction. Default gut reaction is protect what you've created. Historically, do this by enforcing, protecting patents, trademarks, copyright. And so that was a big part of the AMA that he did with Farouk at Rug Radio. Good friends here at the show. Some nice news ahead for Rug Radio, I'm hearing. And so the idea that he was essentially, him and his lawyers were fighting constantly the derivatives, just the ideas of 3D versions of the Moonbirds. And so to cut that out of his life, it was so freeing. And so he's just like, he was almost super excited to be like, oh gosh, look, we don't have that anymore. That's great. And so I think that really frees up a lot of mental capacity into the focus of Web3, which is growth. And I think by giving it away like that, there is some limitations to the PFP holders, whether they themselves can take, this firehead, for instance, say like they went big and they got that rare. That's the tough part, is you went big, you got the rare of that fire PFP. That one anybody can use now. I could go, I'm about to go and make one because I can and have a correspondent here. Maybe I can hire one of these Moonbirds away and be a correspondent for us because I can now. And so that's the real challenge, I think, is really somehow compensating by way of a partnership. So you better have some, I'm sure Kevin Rose has many great things in his pocket to sort of counteract this, because this is such a bold move. But I understand why he did it. And I think the philosophy is well in line, I think, with, what they're trying to build with Moonbirds, as well as being innovative in the space. And, the platform neutrality is powerful. The simple principle has created a sturdy digital foundation for massive ecosystems to be built on top of Ethereum across finance, gaming, art. Empowers anyone with the ability to creatively remix work for commercial purposes. It is a promise that the creator of work, that the work itself can become a credibly neutral platform without restraint or the fear of restriction or creative limitations. Like it's hard to do that. I've had to do that in other projects, where I'm helping to run, and somebody comes to you and is like, hey, let's do this derivative, and it's like, it's gonna be really quick and cool. I'm gonna do it this weekend. We're gonna make $1 million. And you're like, well, at the risk of, I think alienating your core community and trying to take advantage of that community in some way by leveraging the name and saying, oh, we got this derivative of it, and this is ours. And so you can do this completely now without any concern, and everybody who's participating, and it's been declared CC0 knows it now. And so I apologize if I'm incorporating CC0 and CC0 many times when I talk about this stuff, because it's hard when you're like, this is why I do this show. Like, subscribe, with the bell notification so that we can get the actual language out there. Sometimes I'm just like constantly reading it, like Moonbirds, burbs. How do you get the burbs? The authenticity of Moonbirds will not come from lawyers enforcing trademarks, but rather from proven provenance and single source truth of smart contracts. And so, that's a bit of leverage in that, hey, we are on the blockchain, and so there's provenance, and you do have, as he explains, you do have the original Mona Lisa, and Mona Lisa is CC0. Anybody can use the Mona Lisa, the image of the Mona Lisa. Anybody can throw a cake at the Mona Lisa, at their own Mona Lisa, but the original is, housed, and it has its own, special value. And so, what about the MoonBirds audio trademarks? CC0 does not cover trademarks. They're trying to leverage that into a DAO that will make decisions on the trademark, because eventually that is kind of what you want. You want to have the core trademark and the core company to be growing the name MoonBirds and its affluence. And so while you're working on your own thing, you want the brand to grow as well, because you want to say, oh, hey, like I got a MoonBird and it's connected. And so and it can leverage, and I think that's the important part as well, is if you can effectively leverage, because you can go off and do a derivative and it can have its own success. The idea is when you're making a project that you would actually get one, and you would then leverage the strength of the brand and of the community to give your derivative that much more power and that much more success, which you would. Absolutely. You would have the support of the community, going through, that level of like, hey, like I'm going to make something. And, it's, if you look at Jenkins of Valet, it's like they leverage a lot of other apes in this process, and the community supports Jenkins of Valet. And so, and Azerbala, and like, this continuation of that storyline. And so, it's interesting to see this and how it's going to play out. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of FUD and a lot of angry holders who may have gone for a higher end mint or a higher end purchase of a rare, because that sort of devalues, I think, in terms of like, talking about the value of holders. That's the immediate one that comes across. But, we're going to see sort of, as this experiment plays out, what this means for the brand and what this means for the holders. I was also in the AMA for Bobu, which, in the Azuki ecosystem, takes one of the PFPs and, created a whole tokenization system. And now they're doing their comic book release and doing, 6 issues and then trade paperback going out to bookstores, so in a big way, growing the brand, utilizing sort of their one tokenized character, leading the way. And I think really, as we talked about in the show, showing success with a single character. That's possible, guys. It's like, if you have the rights, especially if you have the rights and it's not CC, that's the tricky part, is like, so if I'm given the commercial rights, and Kevin Rose had this to say as well, if I'm given the commercial rights as a holder, I can go off and I can tokenize it, and I can make $2.5 million like Bobu did by tokenizing that one PFP. Nothing's stopping me from doing that. Until that parent that has granted the license decides to revoke it, which it's kind of boilerplate, and all the lawyers have put that in everybody's contract. If you only and read the fine print, they're all in there. They can revoke licenses based on ethics and based off of, things like ethics that are very variable and have interpretation built into them, so that they can, if they get very uncomfortable and they feel that it's a threat to the main ecosystem, they can revoke those rights. And so it's not a free-for-all. The CC0 is a big move because that's irrevocable. Once it's in the public domain, you can't bring it back into private ownership. And so what a brave move here by Kevin Rose. And we'll be definitely keeping a very close eye on this and many other projects. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I do this live with my correspondence, because this is the stuff that's happening in the moments and in the now, and I'm not trying to cut it to make myself seem funnier and take out my weird pauses. So I hope you appreciate that, and you do like, subscribe. Got some really great news coming up about the show. I'm super excited to be partnering up with some amazing people. As I said, you're going to be seeing a lot of growth here in the show. Slowly, it takes some time, and that's, appreciate your patience on it, and we'll